The FBI's interest in Page led to the controversial use of the Steele Dossier in applications to obtain FISA warrants to surveil him under the suspicion that he was acting as an agent or a foreign power, aka they basically wanted to see what his every move was. That happened, and I guess we're just going to go ahead and move on to our second segment here, and that's a part one of a three-part series on Russiagate, where we're going to get into the ins and outs of the Steele Dossier, Crossfire Hurricane, and the new revelations into CrowdStrike. I know that word has been coming up a lot. So this is past, present, and future Russiagate Uncensored. And here to help us out is our professional doom scroller, to say the least. His name is Uncapped Turtle. What is going on, my friend?
It's another day in paradise.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's like now we're just having a Black Swan event every single day. Just
I mean, me being on your show is a Black Swan event. Apparently, I'm torn.
Well, I've heard from sources.
Black Swan Lake. Do.
That's funny. But anyway, so to get into this, in order to understand what Russiagate is, we have to start with none other than Christopher Steele and the Steele Dossier. I know you guys understand, or at least most people that have read into this story, you could not know what had happened or what was going on without knowing what the Steele Dossier is. So let's start off with, who is Christopher Steele? Christopher Steele is a former British intelligence officer with the Secret Intelligence Service MI6, where he served from 1987 until his retirement in 2009. After leaving the government, Steele co-founded Orbis Business Intelligence, a private intelligence company. Steele became widely known for authoring the Steele Dossier, a document containing allegations of Russian collusion between Donald Trump presidential campaign. So what is the Steele Dossier? Okay, and this is just for people that have never really followed that story. Most of you already know, but the ones that don't, it was a collection of memoranda compiled by Christopher Steele, and the purpose of detailed connections with collusion between Donald Trump's presidential campaign and the Russian government. Commissioned initially by Fusion GPS, a private research firm, for a Republican client during the Republican primaries. The research was later funded by the Democratic National Committee, I know you guys remember that part, and the Hillary Clinton campaign. We'll talk about her in a little bit.
Are you saying this was a bipartisan effort?
It was a complete bipartisan effort.
Or was it a uniparty effort?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Why not both?
What's that?
Why not both?
Why not both? All right. The dossier contains unverified allegations of misconduct, conspiracy, and cooperation between Trump's campaign and Russian operatives. I mean, at least, hindsight is 2020, but there's a lot of things that they said happened during that time that either didn't happen, or they said that didn't happen that did. It's almost like all you need to do is whatever the establishment tells you, just think the opposite right off the bat, and you'll be about 90% of the way there.
Unless they weaponize your bias against you, like flat Earth.
I mean, that's just that's not even a Black Swan event. That's like a black hole event.
It's like a black hole event.
We just never get out of it. All right. So the next thing we're going to cover is what is FISA. All right. So the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, or FISA, 1978, is a United States federal law that establishes procedures for physical and electronic surveillance and collection of foreign intelligence information between foreign powers and agents of foreign powers suspected of espionage or terrorism. FISA was enacted to provide a legislative framework for national security surveillance activities, with the FISA courts, the FISC, tasked with overseeing requests for surveillance warrants against foreign spies inside the United States by federal law enforcement intelligence agencies. Now, the FISA courts, I think the biggest issue with them is that they're able to issue warrants without a defense.
basically.
In
so to
secret.
speak. And
in secret. And the other thing is they're allowed to play the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon with you. So if I wanted to, for example, surveil Skrapp, and Skrapp was I'm legally barred from surveilling his communications, I could go to the FISA court and say, well, Roma isn't, I'm not barred from viewing his contacts and who he's contacting. So I'll go to them and get approval to spy on you. And the only reason I'm doing that is so I can get the communications of Skrapp, because I can go to one contact deep, and it's all legal. And that's what they've used it for. And that's what we definitely need some reform there. But that's a key thing to remember about FISA, particularly when we talk about this topic of the Steele Dossier.
Exactly. So in order to understand that, that's how and when the information was discovered. Its existence became public in January 2017 when BuzzFeed News published it in full, though it had been circulating among journalists, lawmakers, and the FBI for several months prior, because the FBI used the dossier as a part of the basis to secure a FISA warrant to surveil Carter Page, a former foreign policy advisor to Trump campaign, and that started in October of 16,
something like that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it would make sense because October surprise, right?
Yeah, always. It's always something, I mean, I think October surprise has already started. It just hasn't, come into full swing yet. But
Spirit Halloween's gonna have to do something this year because they got to open way early.
Yeah,
bro,
yeah.
they should have opened like 4 months ago.
I know, because it's going to be October every month until it's October.
I need to get my political prisoner starter pack from them.
Oh, jeez. I don't even want to think about that yet. I haven't even bought my clothes. All right, so Carter Page. So he was an American petroleum industry consultant and former foreign policy advisor to Donald Trump in 2016 presidential campaign. He had become the focal point of the FBI's investigation due to his ties to Russia and his previous work there. The FBI's interest in Page led to the controversial use of the Steele Dossier in applications to obtain FISA warrants to surveil him under the suspicion that he was acting as an agent or a foreign power. AKA, they basically wanted to see what his every move was and what he was trying to do. I don't know if it's because... Go ahead.
How deep did you dive into Carter Page?
So I didn't get that deep into it because, I mean, there was so much information about this, not just with Carter, but also with John Durham, which we're going to go over later, and then also Hillary Clinton and her involvement, which is also part of this part of the script. But what do you think? What do you know about this guy?
Okay, so I think it's very important that if you look at this guy's history and where he grew up and what he did, and where he went to college, what he did in the U.S. military, it reads like, so Tom Clancy wanted to draw up a profile of a spy, and we'll go ahead and use him as that. Right. So just a couple of things, just pulling it up. So he was raised in Poughkeepsie. After high school, he graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree from the United States Naval Academy in 1993. Graduated with distinction in the top 10% of his class. Was chosen for the Navy's Trident Scholar Program, which gives selected officers the opportunity for independent academic research and study. During his senior year at the Naval Academy, he worked in the office of U.S. Representative Les Aspin, as a researcher for the House Armed Services Committee. He served in the Navy for 5 years, including a tour in Western Morocco as an intelligence officer for a United Nations peacekeeping mission, and attained the rank of lieutenant. In 1994, he completed a master's degree in national security studies at Georgetown. And then after leaving duty in 1998, he was a member of the Navy's inactive reserve until 2004. What's interesting though is he leaves the Navy and gets a fellowship with the Council on Foreign Relations. Gets an MBA from New York University, and then begins working as an investment banker in Merrill Lynch in their London office. And was vice president in the company's Moscow office.
Oh wow!
So, and
That
that's
sounds familiar.
very, so that's very important when it comes time for the FISA warrant that they get on him, because one of the questions that's asked by the court is, has he ever worked with the U.S. intelligence agencies?
Mhm.
And U.S. intelligence agencies said yes, he has. We used him in Moscow, and the person who filed for the warrant decided that he would go ahead and change that answer to no, so that the warrant could be granted. And say that, so obviously this guy,
Right.
we need a warrant on this guy because he worked in Russia, and there's this problem here. And that person, he was educated. There was a trial for him lying to the court, and he received a slap on the wrist, and he's already back working as a lawyer. He hasn't even been disbarred.
You'd think that there would be penalties that were strict for lying to a secret court.
Mhm.
You know, you're already doing something sketchy where you want to do all this cloak and dagger stuff, which there's some merit to that, because there are foreign adversaries that do this, you know, spy versus spy stuff. However, if you screw that up, you make everybody look bad.
Yes.
And not only everybody look bad, but people's lives can be lost, and all the work that's being done in many ways to actually do legitimate espionage and data collection can be compromised as well. And also then the entire apparatus is undermined in the public opinion as it is now. So
Yep. And then whoever they're actually trying to get information on now knows, and then now can put up all the barriers that they need to make sure they're never caught.
Right.
All right, so let's move on to Crossfire Hurricane. Are you familiar with that?
I am.
All right.
It's a wonderful Rolling Stones album, isn't it?
Yes.
Or song, something like that.
Well, it's a Rolling Stones song, and I believe it's a tequila now.
Oh,
yeah. Or is either
I'm not very familiar with that.
I need to find out where I can purchase this.
There was a day and age when I would have been very familiar with the tequila, and then I got old and wise, hence my shell.
The glasses in the shell.
Where'd Skrapp go? There he is. Ah,
yeah, he's getting his Halloween
confused for a moment
on. Because apparently we're in October.
Spirit Scrapjaw Studio.
Exactly. All right. So with Crossfire Hurricane, we got to talk about John Durham, like I mentioned before. He was a U.S. He was a U.S. attorney appointed by Attorney General William Barr, or Bill Barr, you guys know him, in May of 2019 to investigate the origins of the FBI's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 United States elections, including examining the law enforcement and intelligence community's actions during the campaign. Now, Crossfire Hurricane, that was the code name for the FBI's investigation into Russian interference in 2016 in the presidential election, including potential connections between Russian officials and the Trump campaign members, initiated in July of 2016. Now, the investigation was led by, I believe it was the FBI and contributions from the CIA and the NSA, the National Security Agency, and it later transitioned into a special counsel with Robert Mueller's investigation, right?
Mueller.
So let's connect that timeline with Crossfire Hurricane and then the Mueller investigation, right? So the findings and the ongoing aspects of Crossfire Hurricane were handed over to Special Counsel Robert Mueller, where he was appointed in May of 2017. Mueller's investigation aimed to further explore Russian interference, including any links or coordination between the Russian government and individuals associated with the Trump campaign, as well as any matters that arose directly from the investigation. Like, do you see how crazy this sounds? I mean, this is a president of the United States, and regardless of whether he is president or running for president, I mean, the fact that they have the power to do that almost makes it seem as if like they're above the authority of the president of the United States. But I mean, that's a whole other avenue I can go for months on.
Well, was it Schumer that said, correct me if I'm wrong, Turtle, that, you know,
6 ways to Sunday?
there's 6 ways to Sunday, right? That if you mess with the intelligence community, referring to Trump, 6 ways to Sunday to get back at you. And, you know, it was only one day till Sunday, the last time we pretty much saw where they tried to get back at him. I mean, you know, all of the tools that they have to be able to surveil, they can't see a 20-year-old on a roof 150 meters from the freaking president. Just gonna throw that one out there.
No,
Anyway.
Skrapp, you're a conspiracy theorist and you should not be online.
There is not enough Reynolds wrap in your house, sir, to contain my ire.
Oh boy, here we go. All right, so the outcome of the investigation that was released in April 2019 concluded that that Russia interfered in the 2016 presidential election in a sweeping and systematic fashion, but did not establish that the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. Now, I believe there was a person by the name of Hillary Rodham Clinton who just came out a couple days ago and was like, oh, well, you know, Russia's back into it. You know, Trump's running with Russia. It's almost as if like she turned into Biden for a second and completely forgot that he had there was no collusion. But outside of Russia, how many other countries were trying to do so? Do we know about them?
I know I got an argument with a buddy of mine over this, and then he once I brought up all of these things, he's like, well, the best I can do is bring up this thing about asbestos and, you know, fire retardant things and blah blah blah, that, you know, that was the only deal, like, legitimate thing that Trump apparently had some backdoor, like, you know, because he's a businessman, right? And there's other people that are involved with his other business and
apparently so was Hunter Biden.
And Hunter Biden, right? The only thing they could come up with is this asbestos thing, apparently, because there was some kind of ban on trade on certain materials with Russia that he opened back up. And it's like, okay, so goods can flow across borders again on things that, whatever, you know. That's about it. It's the only collusion they could actually come up with. It's like, oh, you got a nothing burger, bro. But with this Hillary Clinton stuff, no, and she instantly turned into the Brady Bunch. Russia. It's like, we've heard this one before.
Yeah.
So
before we go too much farther on the Crossfire from Crossfire Hurricane, because it sounds like you're headed further down the road. I think there's some important news that you may not be aware of that happened. It just happened to get announced shortly after 5:30 p.m. Eastern yesterday that has to do with Crossfire Hurricane.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Do you want to pull that up?
So, well, if you share my screen real quick, and we're gonna find a couple of names. So this is an older article from, you know, far right-wing blog The Hill.
Okay.
Obviously, you know, I mean,
far
truly
right
one
wing.
of them. Truly, I mean, this is. I might as well be. I might as well be looking at, you know, InfoWars. But new FBI document confirms that Trump campaign was investigated without justification. And if we start going through, this is going to be about John Durham and Crossfire Hurricane, and we're going to see a name in here. This Peter Strzok. I don't know if you're from. Oh, I certainly can. I forget that I'm. How's that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that works.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so the document was oddly constructed in a normal, legitimate FBI communication. It would the EC. There would be a to and from line. The Crossfire EC has only a from line, and is part of the FBI's counterintelligence division. His contact is listed as Peter Strzok. So he essentially, what happened is he altered this document so that he could be able to say that, well, this is part of our normal investigation, and we need to open up some FARA investigations into these people, which is the Foreign Agent Registration Act and all this. He altered documents that he put before the court for this. It says, to the untrained eye, the FBI document that launched Crossfire Hurricane can be confusing, and it may be difficult to discern how it might be inadequate. To the trained eye, however, it is a train wreck. There are a number of reasons why it's so bad. The two main ones are offered below. So obviously, number one, it wasn't sent to anyone. It's only from. On that basis alone, documents an absurdity. It violates FBI protocols. And if any of you have ever been in the military or any form of government, they're sticklers for how we format things. But
Or
in
even
addition, several names.
settings.
Yeah.
In corporate
Right.
settings, they want them formatted, right?
Yeah, right. But several names are listed in the CC or copy line. All are redacted, save Strux, who for some reason felt it necessary to copy himself on a document he sent from himself to himself. Names on an FBI document are always listed in cascading fashion, with the most senior at the top and on down to the least senior. On this, Strzok is listed last, so the redacted name should be more senior than him. Those names could be Comey, McCabe, etc. Right? But
Right.
so the whole thing is, like, he basically faked a memo to get Crossfire Hurricane started. And I'm not real quick with switching my screens, but let's go back to our news from Friday evening.
This is why Turtle's the best.
He's like 50% of all of the things that we have to sift through on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It's
anytime you start talking about the Steele Dossier and Crossfire Hurricane and everything, you're going to find the names Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, who Trump refers to as the lovers, because they were having an affair at work. And so, and as this investigation went on, some of the stuff about, hey, this is fishy, came out, and some of that was their private messages. So Lisa says to him in a text message, he's not really gonna win, is he? No, we won't let him, is what Peter Strzok said. Well, they sued over that information being released to Congress. Every lawyer, I'm a news junkie, as you said, professional doom scroller. Everybody that's looked at their case said they had absolutely zero chance of winning, right? It was a joke case. There's no way they're gonna win. Let me see if I can make the text big enough for us. But Friday night, they settled with the DOJ. The DOJ decided it's gonna be impossible for them to win, so they settled with them, and they agreed to pay both of them $1.2 million.
How do you fail up like that?
I don't understand it. Like,
It's not even a fail up. That's just a handout. You got paid for your part. Yeah, you got your name dragged through the mud and all this stuff, and a lot of the people know that you're scum, but they don't care. And now they're both millionaires.
so if you had to wait 7, 8 years for $1.2 million, you think it'd be worth it?
If inflation keeps going the way Biden has had it, no.
You might buy a couple of dances at the club.
Yeah, right.
If that, that's about it. I got a couple of singles in my pocket.
The way things are going, it might buy you a Big Mac meal, as long as you don't, go above the small and use the app so you get your % off.
And don't add bacon, like my fat ass would. But anyways, let's move on.